the Dell Dimension XPS R450 with the Pentium 2. Psych! No, it's just a Dimension 4100. This Dell Dimension uses pretty much the same exact frame, but this Dell Dimension is a Dimension 4100. You can look it up with the service tag right there. So the not so Dell Dimension XPS R450, or the Dell Dimension 4100, belonged to someone named Olivier, and where I go and pick up that kind of bundle of stuff, well, he brought it because he was getting rid of it. So I actually managed to get a bit of the story of, well, how this computer came to be. So what's the story about this thing? How the hell did he manage to get that faceplate instead of the 4100? Well, that I didn't know. But the only thing I do remember off of my head is he used this thing to play World of Warcraft all the way up to Wrath of the Lich King. And he claimed that it made a good performance. That is, if you put everything on low. He claims he was running it with a GeForce 2. Now, is this credible? I don't know. I'm not a World of Warcraft player, so you tell me. If you look in one of my older videos, which is the Dell Dimension 4100, I think it was Overview and Restore, well, take that video, shove it in the trash. This thing is a Restore 2.0. I mean, we've got an empty hole, a mismatched CD. Is that a CD burner? Yeah. A non-matching CD burner that seems to be coming from another Dell. Well, yeah. That's not the right model. We're missing a metal bar that goes across for extra support. We don't have the expansion. Well, we don't have the AGP video card properly. I got an FX 5500, but the fucking thing's dead. And we're missing quite a bit of a... yeah, we're missing stuff. And just like my Dell Dimension 4100, the other one I had, it suffers the same problem with this power button right here. What happens is over time, the power button gets worn out, and then if you turn it on, it won't turn on. You have to like go press it really hard, and then it'll turn on, or sometimes you have to fidget around, and it's yeah. You're in for some fun. But that's going to be for a different story. Now we're going to be taking a look at this big beast. So at the front there was place for two optical drives. The one that I did have had a CD reader and a CD burner. So that was a 2-in-1. Some had the option of a zip drive. This one didn't. Of course, the 3.5-inch floppy is pretty much embedded in the front of the case. Power button and power LED, hard drive LED, reset button, and this thing is not a Pentium 2, it's a Pentium 3, and it was designed for Windows Millennium, not 98. And of course we have nice pins all over the place, right there, and they're not fake, they're real. Now inside we have this air duct that if you squeeze those two tabs, this little piece of plastic will pull right off, revealing the exhaust fan and the heatsink for your... Well, this one has a Pentium 3 933. One thing though that mine seems to have that this one seems to lack is an extra RAM slot. There's only two of them here. Because why? I mean, this is an 815 chipset, so what's the deal? Anyways, so we got an AGP 2X 4X Max slot right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PCI expansion slots right there. Little squeaker can integrated. This is how you plug in your I/O, well, your power and LEDs and all that over the front. And speaking of front, we're supposed to have a hard drive being mounted here, but looks like this thing doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure this was the mounting point right there, actually. No, my bad. That's the metal bracket. Goes all the way there with those two little holes. Man. So the hard drive is right here, 30 gig Western Digital. Another place for another one. This is where the 3.5-inch expansion base would go for the front. Well, looks like I have to sacrifice one for a hard drive. That's one for the CD burner. That's not quite well adjusted. and one right there which is completely missing. I wonder what happened to it. And of course our power supply at the very top. 20 pin connector right here. Dell's little extra boost. Yeah, in case if you wanna, I don't know, Dell's extra power. Okay. Two ID channels right here, one here, and your floppy. Come on, get out! Floppy right here. At the back, at the very top, we have our power supply exhaust vent right here in your power. It is not auto-ranging, so you have to set it up yourself right there. Keyboard for the PS2 and mouse, two USB 1.1 port, which actually a legacy keyboard and mouse combo will work. Parallel serial ports, and that's all you get. The rest is all expansion. I could have sworn I've had more than that on mine. Okay, let me throw in a video card and we'll take a look at and see what's inside. He claims the BIOS battery is brand new, so we'll check that out. So here it is, all hooked up. All I need now is to plug the fucking thing in. And the one, and the two, and get over here. And it doesn't turn on. This is the perfect example. The machine did not turn on by itself, so I have to turn it on. So, see, nothing happens. But if you go strong into it, you just have to mess with it, and then you'll be in and ready to go. So, once started, all we need to do is just wait for the video BIOS if you have one, and then just mush the F2 key, and of course you'll be entering setup. Now, this is interesting. Loading setup. And as far as I know, this thing seems to take its sweet fine time in order to, you know, get into setup. I don't know. Something tells me this is either a older revision BIOS, or two, well, the motherboard itself is older or newer. But my Dimension 4100 that I had did not do that. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the auto button because, well, we need that. There you go. So let's get started. The processor serial number, system date and time. Well, it's holding up, so it looks like we got a good battery. Boot configuration. Yeah, we do have a plug and play. Peripheral. This is all you get. Enable this if you want a USB keyboard to work with DOS or an older operating system. This is definitely a big need. IDE configuration, well, that's pretty much it. You can have either the primary, the secondary, both, or all of them being off. So yeah, you can have only the primary, which will give you only two, the secondary, which will give you the other two, and both, all four, or none for, well, yeah. I don't know why you would use one or the other, but it's there. Diskette, we do have that, but we're missing cables in there too, so I'll have to work on that. So yeah, event log. So what's wrong? We have no keyboard, no keyboard, no keyboard. Lots of it. Oh, looks like we did have a CMOS configuration back then. So yeah, the battery. Yeah, there you go, there you go. Yeah. So there's a lot of battery failure right there. So yeah, and then eventually, boom, it got taken care of. Oh, and another one right there, and that's it. The two of them right here are mine, as far as I remember. There was no such thing as a battery failure. Clear all event logs. You want to set that to yes, which will reset the event log right there. And of course you can mark it all as red. But once we reboot, this thing will turn back to no, and you'll be able to, you know, check out the new ones. AGP hardware detected. Well, it doesn't detect any speed because, well, yeah, that's not gonna happen. I do have an AGP 7800 GS, but this is 8X only, and you'll fry the fucking thing. Trust me, you do not want to try that. Of course, we got the security. We got all these nice boot little options. Quick boot, which is disabled. How about we enable that? ID drive configuration. This is how you configure stuff, I guess. And this is basically your option to boot. You have up to 5. These are all your options. And that's pretty much it. No network booting, as far as I know. Huh. That's awkward. And you go and exit and save this changes, and you're ready to roll. Well, let's just for fun see if we got a working CD burner. Okay, I changed the boot configuration settings. Let's see. It still can do it. I only got 128 megs of RAM in there. The 256 stick made it not a happy camper. Let's see if I can do it with the 128. Olivier, ta machine est entre bonnes mains. I'm gonna have to restore this machine to its former glory. Get some RAM, get an AGP video card that'll be, well, a good one. The last one I had in my 4100 was an FX 5200, so I might as well, get one too. I'll see if I can get 512 megs of RAM instead of 128 in there. It was 384, but maybe I could get away with it. But yeah, so now we've seen the Dimension 4100. We've seen how versatile this case was with the XPS R450 out of all things. So yeah, they were phenomenal machines. So now, with that said and done, I'm gonna turn everything off and rate it, and it's all ready to roll. What do you know? So there it is. This is the Dell Dimension 4100, and they were pretty damn good machines. The one I had before this one, I enjoyed it pretty well, and unfortunately this one is not in the best of shape, but it's a bit of research, new front plate, a new face, because this is definitely not an XPS R450, and the metal bracket inside, the hard drive caddy, and this machine should be pretty much good to go. I already got the optical drives right here ready to go, and I've ordered a heating gun soldering iron kit, which should probably take care of the power buttons. But at that time, I'm not really in a hurry to fix the buttons anyways. This is easy. The rest is just it's just a patience game. So anyways, about reliability, well, I've always seen those being reliable besides the power button issues, but other than that, I've never seen one fail out of the blue. But it doesn't mean that all of them, survived. Some of them, of course, went bad. I've seen one from another YouTuber, UXW Bill, I believe. He had one of these, and it got flooded. He didn't get so lucky, but really, those are just natural disasters, so can't really blame it. But as far as for reliability, this thing's a good old 9. Customizability. Now we're talking about meat. Well, there's AGB, there's PCI, there's all the doodads and whatnot. It does boast the Intel 815 chipset, but it cannot take 2 Latin CPUs. Why is that? That's because it requires an 815E or an 815EP or P. The original standalone 815, no letter, forget it. Some managed to get 2 Aladdins working on an 815, which should have been the case in the first place. But I did try on my 4100, the other one, and no go. But what if I told you there was more to that? You can go around and buy a brand spanking new, or pretty recent, anyways, a pretty recent motherboard setup that'll fit, as long as it fits an ATX form factor. What if I told you it fits? You'll need a new power supply, of course, but and you'll have to modify the front, because the power buttons and power LEDs, well, they're not they're not really standard, but they're easy to find out. If you're quite a modder, you'll find that the front connections are really easy. I mean, it's easy. It's 2, 4, 6. There's just 8 pins being used, and they're really easy to trace. So, yeah, you can turn a Dimension 4100 or an XPSR 450 into a really big friggin' sleeper. Yeah, teach some noobs with a beige machine. That alone is a 10. Gaming. Well, this thing was built for homes and shipped with ME. But if you just don't look at the ME and just upgrade to XP, this thing's got a Pentium 3 933. It can go all the way up to, I believe, 1 gig of RAM. It can take a GeForce 2, a GeForce 3, an FX 5200, a 6200. It can go pretty far, as long as it goes up to an AGP 4X. If you go 8X, that's not gonna work. You may even end up potentially frying your board. I've seen stories about that. I've seen one actually happen right before my eyes. You can check that out on some YouTube videos. I believe there's some of them that are online, so yeah. But besides that, you got PCI expansions for TV tuners, which doesn't make a single difference in gaming. You can get yourself a physics card, which, why not? You could get a good sound card, because you do need a sound card. And you can have yourself a pretty kick-ass gaming experience, providing your period correct. Because if you're trying to run Crisis, or, well, he did say we're after the Lich King work, but if you're trying to work Cataclysm, well, good luck. Seriously, how the hell did he manage to run that with 384 megs of RAM? I just don't know. But anyways, that said and done, without World of Warcraft being considered, gaming is a good old 8. Multimedia. Well, stock it ships with a video card and a sound card. So what can you do with multimedia, video editing and all that? Well, you're already getting off to a good base, but you can get physics cards like I've mentioned, TV tuners. You can make this thing into one freaking beast. It has the potential to do that. This thing will deliver your needs and then some. It's a 9. So yeah, overall this machine gets a 9 out of 10. Really sturdy build. Plastic for some reason, but there's metal shielding in the back, which is, well, as thin as plastic, but it does seem to fit well. Has a good look, great for home, toolless design for the most part, and a really well built machine overall. I'm actually this is probably one of the better machines I've seen. This was just before, I believe, when Dell decided to go clamshell and open their butts halfway. Well, this thing definitely did not think like that. So if you got any questions, comments, anything I've overlooked or not looked at this particular machine, please feel free to leave a comment down below. As well, if you have a story you'd like to share, please feel free to leave a comment down below as well. And of course, until next time, stay bold and take care. Catch you next time, and thanks for watching. And yeah, they were phenomenal machines with a terrible focus.